Hey, what's up, survivors? Welcome to another mind-blowing mini episode from Zombie Go Boom. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and then we're also going to be doing some awesome cutting tests. So, let's get started. Before we get started on that, there were a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Number one, a lot of you guys loved the drive-by decapitation. We loved it too, but some of them thought that it might be fake or staged. I'm here to tell you that it was not. Was it?
No, definitely not.
Look, we have Dragon Song Forge katanas. These are the best katanas we've ever owned, okay? And we've owned some good ones. They are made specifically for cutting competitions. So they are no wall hangers. They are definitely meant to destroy. And they managed to cut that head like it was butter because that's how awesome the swords are. That head had an Arnold, just like every single other head, and that is a skull made of a high density, thick plastic composite. Same stuff we've always used, and it's really, really hard. The neck itself isn't just spine, it also has a 3/4 inch PVC pipe shooting right down the middle. Now, what you guys may have noticed is weird or funky looking is the fact that the foam that's not as high quality as what you're used to ripping from the head. But no, if it was not a practical or special effect, it was that sword going through this spine and then the rest of the foam just ripping. The Ivan heads that we're using right now were created by Zombie Industries. We're trying to figure out a way to get you a more affordable consumer model so you can do your own tests at home. We're gonna put a urethane rubber skin layer back on these heads. The foam's gonna be quite a bit better, so hopefully we put that to rest. What I do want you guys to do though is to go to zombieindustries.com, check them out, check out all of their awesome products. They're mostly famous for their 3D bleeding zombie targets that they make, and those are awesome. So that's exactly what we're gonna be cutting today with these Dragon Song Forge katanas. Do you wanna tell them your experience doing the drive-by decapitation? I know everybody wants to know.
It makes you feel pretty powerful, actually, because you're not doing very much work at all. Just maybe a flick of the wrist and the head just ping, pops right off. If you do it right, you know.
And then looking at the footage, I noticed that you had your blade out like this and you were coming in, and at one point you looked back just to make sure that you're lining it up properly. Was that a difficult thing to do?
Well, when you've been using blades for so long, you kind of get an idea of where your blade is going to go. But with that mask on that I was wearing, and I was holding my sword so far back that I couldn't see it out of my peripheral, so I had to actually turn my whole head and sort of line it up with the head, because I didn't want the sword to like get knocked back by the head and back into the vehicle, because I didn't want to damage the sword or the vehicle
or yourself
or myself.
Even.
Yeah, I'm important too.
All right, we are about to get to the cutting, I promise. But before we do that, a lot of you guys are always asking us for cutting techniques. You want to learn how to cut better, especially with a katana. So Charles, anything you'd like to say about that?
Well, a few things that might help. Of course, proper edge alignment is what you want. Basically, you want to hold it to where your thumb is over that first peg there, about like that. And then you want to put the pommel of the other side in the palm of your hand, basically. All right? And then say you're doing a overhead strike, you want to bring your knees down. You also want to pull in with this arm as you're sort of just pushing with your right arm. And also, what I like to do is sort of twist my wrists outward as the blade moves away from me. It keeps the blade straighter.
Yeah, a couple of other things. Stay loose. It's more about the technique than it is about your power. You do want to sort of like, squeeze your muscles whenever you actually make impact, and that is to give you a little bit more to get through the target. And a mistake I used to make a lot, and I had to work on getting better, is I would line myself up way too far from the target, thinking that when I strike it, I would be able to pull and slice a lot better. But what it ended up doing is it made it so that when I actually made contact with the target, I was completely hyperextended. My entire body was extended, and I didn't have anywhere else to go, you know? So you actually want to get closer to the target so that when you actually do hit the target, which should be with like the last 6 inches of the blade, now you have room. You have room to get through the target, you know? So don't get too far.
You have mobility options.
Yeah, instead of just being completely stopped, because I used to feel boom, just that. Now it's like shoo, right?
Yeah, and you can twist with your hips a lot better that way too.
Don't hold the katana like a hammer. You hold it like a saber. So this knuckle right here, that's what you want to feel on this edge right there. So it looks kind of like that, not like that, you know? And then you want to be holding it as close to the pommel as you can, because that gives you more leverage when you pull and push. So pull and push, and you should actually be able to just cut with the left hand, because that's really where your power comes from. The right, even though you can push with it, is mostly for lining up your edge, you know?
Another thing, just to practice like cutting strikes in the air, if you go from point A to point B, you can tell, once you stop, you can tell if you're a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, because the sword will pull that way. And then so you know on the next strike you need to adjust, you know, and make it to where it's just one solid stop, you know?
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about edge alignment specifically, and this has happened to me, I've bent some swords because my edge alignment was off, especially when you're hitting a hard target and a spherical target like a head. If I'm striking this Arnold here and my edge alignment is good, all of that energy is just gonna keep going and I'm gonna slice through it. But if my edge alignment is wrong, especially in this direction, if it's pointing upwards, what'll happen is it'll cut a little bit in, then it'll cut back out, so you'll see this, and then all of that energy, instead of going and finishing the rest of the skull, will shoot up the blade here and it'll bend the blade. So edge alignment is #1 priority for sure, especially if you have a really good katana like this one.
Yeah, and usually it would be best just to go for the throat and decapitate them, because that's like the easiest thing to do if you can get it between, you know, 2 of those vertebrae. Because the skull is really hard. It's meant to take a beating, you know?
So let's get started. Alright guys, well I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the show, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, and in the links in the description below we have not only links for Zombie Industry, so please go over there, show your support because they're supporting us, they're awesome. But also Dragon Song Forge, they're also supporting us, they're awesome. If you support the companies that support us, you support us, so thank you so much for that. We love you guys.
Have a nice day.
We'll see you next time.